Now, we've mentioned this first one here a little bit during the show because people have asked the questions in the comments section, and it's popping up more and more and more and more. And what's popping up is, should the Giants and could the Giants trade for JJ McCarthy? And the story is not going away, guys, because Sam Darnold is still been very good for the Vikings this year. JJ McCarthy's had to go in, from what I heard, from an extra surgery during his recovery time period. So they're kind of, not so sure about when he's going to be ready. But it's also like, you've been wanting to win for how long? You have a chance to be the number one seed in the NFC. Not the NFC North, the NFC.
Yeah. No,
and you're
straight up.
Like, yeah. Like, if they win this game against the Lions this week, that's where they're at. And you're going to potentially get rid of the quarterback that led you there after 1 year. Like, I can understand how that looks insane. I could also understand how somebody could sit there and say, well, yeah, but he's got Justin Jefferson and he's got, all these different talented guys, Jordan Addison, Hawkinson, all these guys around him that are a lot of talent, and a defense that's playing absolutely elite this year. So is it him or is it the team around him lifting him up? And either side has valid points to it. I'm not even here to debate that part of it. Either side has valid points to it.
It does. And especially because, like, look at what they did with quarterbacks last year.
Yeah.
So.
And that was without JJ McCarthy. I'm sorry, without Justin Jefferson for much of the season there.
Yeah.
And that was with the defense not being nearly as good as it is here. So, like I said, I think that you look at this, you can see why the Vikings would want to keep him.
Yes. It's like, it's very conflicting because, like, obviously, Sam Darnold's like, he's the guy that got you here. Like, JJ did not play.
Yeah.
JJ is also way cheaper.
Yes,
you're gonna keep him for a while. And a lot younger. So to have him sit behind this guy that's leading your team the way you want this team to, like, play before, like, isn't the worst thing.
Well,
as a Giants fan, listen to this. I like what I'm hearing. I just don't like who they're talking about. Like, I like the idea of, like, maybe we should look elsewhere besides the draft. Like, if we're going to fall behind, like, we're going to talk there. Like, I like the concept. But
and that's if they're thinking it. Just for the record, we haven't heard anything from the Giants of saying that whatsoever. This is all people just speculating because they're seeing what are they going to do with JJ McCarthy, and
yeah, I think there's multiple things I think about JJ. Like, one, I don't think he's worth the draft capital we're going to have to spend on him. Two, I also don't like, we didn't like him that much coming out of the draft last year. Yes, he got a national title. Good for him. Kudos. Not a lot of quarterbacks do that. Yeah. But what was the point of getting rid of Saquon to get a quarterback that's going to hand the ball off?
Yeah. Well,
but here's good.
But here's what it's from the Vikings standpoint specifically. You got a couple of things to look at. You got A, are they going to keep Darnold? And then B, if they decide to keep Darnold, would they get rid of JJ McCarthy for, let's be honest, for his own sake?
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's,
you got 50-50 they keep with Darnold or they go with JJ McCarthy. And then you got 50-50 on that. So there's really, we're talking about like a 25% chance just based on averages that they'd even look to go ahead and move on from JJ McCarthy. So I don't think this is a very likely scenario. But again, it's being talked about. So here's the problem you run into with this. Twofold. One, you mentioned a minute ago, you don't want to give up a lot to get JJ McCarthy if that's the case. You try selling to your fan base that you just drafted a guy in the first round and you're going to get rid of him for a third round pick the next year. Just, that's where you're at.
There's probably going to be more ads for JJ.
But he was the 10th overall pick last year.
Yeah.
You're not going to get him for a second round pick or a third round pick.
100%. That's what
you're
I'm saying.
You're going to have to give up a first round pick.
Or you're going to give him like 2 second rounds. Like you're going to have to pull up some kind of finagle, but like most likely the first round.
Enough. I'm telling you right now. Give up a guy you just spent a 10th overall pick on. You can't get 2 second rounds back and sit there and say that's a win for your franchise. Because here's the other option. Again, if they trade him, It's to do right by JJ McCarthy, and I'll actually applaud them if they do that because that's what they're trying to do in that case. But why would they have to do that?
Yeah.
You can let him sit and be the backup. You can let him go ahead and learn. And then let's say hypothetically, you're worried that Darnold is not going to be the same Darnold next year. Well, you have your insurance policy right there sitting in the wings because his cap number, if you look at his cap number, next year is going to be $5 million. Year after that, $6 million. Year after that, $7 million. You don't have to go crazy about getting rid of him. It's the money's not that high. We're paying Drew Lock $5 million this year.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason I don't think it's going to happen, because if I am the Vikings, I'm holding on to JJ McCarthy for dear life. And I'm going to sit there and say, you know what? We're going to tag Darnold. And this, I would do the same if I tagged him or didn't, for the record. But if I was the Vikings, I would tag Darnold. I would make him prove one more year that he can do this. And I would have JJ sitting in the wings. And you know what? If Darnold does it again, then okay, maybe you have a conversation with JJ. Say, listen, you had surgery the first year, you got healthy year 2. We're not going to hold you back. What would you like to do? Would you like to stay here and see how things progress, or would you like to move on? Because it's a good PR move. And again, this is all done behind closed doors with agents. And you know what agents love to do? They love to freaking talk. They do it for a living. And they're going to sit there and they're going to know what's going on at that point. And they're going to, discuss, hey, you're talking about going to the Vikings. Well, guess what the Vikings did to Sam Darnold? Just heads up. You know what I mean? Like, this is that kind of move. Or reverse. Hey, you're talking about the Vikings. Great organization. I heard about what happened to Darnold. He wanted out. He was being blocked by Darnold. And,
JJ.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, like, these are the conversations these guys have. You know, and it's a good move for the organization to do it that way. But again, I don't think this is the offseason you do that. And I think you got to make sure that you didn't catch lightning in a bottle with Darnold, because that's possible. We've all seen it.
It happens a lot. And typically, like, when players like Darnold come back, I mean, he pretty much did a Mayfield, and he became a new quarterback after not playing good for a while to a new team. He came and he's playing great. Granted, like, he's probably doing Mayfield way better than Mayfield at this point, because let's be real, like, you get that many wins, it's kind of hard to say otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's the weird thing. So, like, we've had guys that have had 1 year and then fall on their face, but not to the extent that Darnold's gotten. Unless you want to include Elvis Gerbach, who has had a great year with the Chiefs, but he went the next year over to the Ravens the year after they won the Super Bowl, and they ditched Trent Dilfer. So, but again, I don't know. That's, to me, I'm not making that move on Minnesota, especially if he's going for additional surgeries, and there's all kinds of questions on his availability next year, potentially, at least for the beginning. Like, why would you bite yourself like that when you don't have to worry about money-wise? He's not expensive. Yeah. I'm holding on for dear life as long as I can, because I want to know it, and I want to have a backup plan in case Darnold isn't Darnold next year.
Yeah, because what are they going to come to this draft with at this point, like a high 20s pick, and like, we're getting a quarterback?
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, let's say hypothetically, if they go ahead and get a second first round pick and they build up a team a little more, get another good player, hypothetically, in this scenario, regardless if it's the Giants or somebody else, yeah, you got an extra pick. But now let's say if Darnold isn't the same as he is this year, next year, you have nobody to back him up that you can legitimately say, okay, here we go. Throw this guy in there. He's good. This was the plan anyway originally.
Yeah.
You don't have that anymore. I guess that's why I just don't think it's going to happen, personally.
No, I don't think so.
If you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.